What's up, everybody? John Quirk here. Welcome to another episode of the Not So Woo Woo Guru. Um, and that's actually a really fun place to start. The name of the podcast, the Not So Woo Woo Guru, came to me during a meditation a few months back, and I've been really leaning into some changes in the way I've I've been just over the last few years. I left corporate life. For those that don't know, in 2014 I got fired from a job that I thought I was really going to love and really hated. um, Lived a really stressful existence and just really fell out of love with life in a hardcore way, and I've struggled throughout my life with anxiety and depression, and this was kind of all coming to a head with the loss of this job. And got into doing lots and lots of yoga and traveling the world and learning about Eastern philosophy, and then moved to California and started this really cool company called SoCal Wellness Retreats, where I got to do holistic wellness retreats with people. But within the last year, I've noticed that my feelings towards those retreats has started to shift. And I've been thinking a lot about stepping into the coaching space, although I've had my own hangups about that, both personally, just my own self-limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, or that there's already too many coaches out there. I've judged the crap out of coaches before. I feel like sometimes you look out in that world and it can feel very scammy and just inauthentic. And that's actually the theme of this podcast, is the idea of authenticity. And I was sitting with a friend the other day, and I was talking about this movement into wanting to do more coaching and working with people in more of a one-on-one and more of an intimate way, because you don't get that always with the group. You get little tidbits of people's story, but you don't really get into the nitty-gritty of who they are. And she said, well, what do you want to coach on? And I said, well, I'd like to share with people some of the things that have helped me the most. And I think the two biggest things that keep coming up are, helping people to be more intuitive, but also really just being myself. And I talk about this stat all the time. And there's this really amazing study that was done where they can actually look at the energy leaving a body, the frequency leaving a body when people are feeling certain emotions or acting certain ways. And the highest frequency that people experience is authenticity. And it's 4,000 times more powerful. 4,000 times more powerful than love. And when I ask people this question, I like to ask them what they think the highest emotional signature frequency is. And they always will usually say love or even gratitude. But it's authenticity. It's authenticity. When our thoughts and our feelings and our words and our actions are aligned, we are literally superpowered. We literally cast an energy out into the world that's way more powerful um, than any other emotion. And so, in thinking about wanting to make this change, I had to be honest with myself, because, my whole life has been wrapped up, my whole identity in a lot of ways has been wrapped up in this company, SoCal Wellness Retreats. And I love it dearly. And I love the impact that we've been able to make in people's lives. And it's afforded me the opportunity to live in San Diego. I have had to get some help. I've had to cash out my 401k. I've had to take out a couple of loans. So it hasn't been a total abundant run. I've had my share of struggles, but even within that, I had to start to recognize, like, man, I feel like I give a lot to these retreats, and I give a lot to people. And in the last 6 months in particular, I've had some rough retreats. I've had some rough guests, and I know that I'm not attracting exactly the types of folks that I want to work with. And I'm having to sell these retreats sometimes to people that I think are just not a match for the work that I want to do and the help that I want to give to people. And so really being honest with that, and really looking, especially the last couple of retreats, just feeling very drained afterwards and not feeling as inspired as I normally was feeling years ago doing these retreats. I just had to be really honest with myself and say, I think it's time to make a shift. I think it's time to make a change. And what do I want to do? And this is the kind of process that I went through when I left corporate life. Was I really just looked at what was bringing me joy, which at the time was yoga and playing hockey. And I just wanted to focus a lot more of my time and my energy into doing those things without really worrying about money or how things were going to work out or what people were going to think, especially. And it served me really, really well. And so I've been tuning back into that, and I've been really excited about this next chapter. I've really been excited about the idea of working with with people in this way, and frankly just not having the amount of pressure that it comes with when you're running. I've run 8 to 10 retreats a year for the last 6 years, and if you're not familiar with the retreat world, I mean, that's an aggressive amount of retreats. I mean, there are teachers and leaders out there who are running, like I think of Joe Dispenza is probably running that number, but he's got a full team. I mean, he's not doing his own website, his own social media, and his own bookkeeping, and all of these other things that it takes for me to really, you know, to really pull this all off. And frankly, I am worried about some of the money and the long-term things because I've not been able to sustain a business with this in a way that I can save and I can just feel safe. I do have a golden parachute. I mean, full disclosure. I mean, I'm not one of these people that would be out on the streets. I would be able to reach out for help. I would, probably able to secure a loan another loan if I needed to. I could, but at the end of the day, I could reach out to family. I could reach out to, people that would not allow me to go fully bankrupt. But honestly, I don't want to do that. I think I need some of this pressure right now, and I've full disclosure been taking on some credit card debt, and I've kind of moved into a space where I'm just very much in the unknown, very much in the unknown, and it is scary. Like it's kept me up some nights, and um, but I always come back to something that once was said to me that the known will let you down. What you think will often let you down, but if you step into the unknown with faith, and if you really do it with good intentions and with a full heart, um the unknown will never let you down. And there's an element of that word faith that's in this, and I don't know how it's going to go, but if I really spend time in meditation and within the deeper layers of myself, it feels really good. And that's how I've really run my whole life for the last decade since I left corporate life, and I've gotten to do some amazing things. I mean, I've really been able to help people transform, which has made me feel amazing. I've gotten to go to Bali like 8 times. I've gone to Costa Rica and Portugal, and all these really cool places. And like I said, I've managed to scrape by, not flourish, but I've scraped by in San Diego, and I've gotten to experience a lot of sunsets here and beautiful moments and community. And so yeah, this is a bit of me just being able to hopefully inspire you that if you're feeling like you're kind of stuck in something, if you're feeling like what you are doing is not aligned with who you are or the impact that you want to make in the world, that there is a way to get back on that track. And I would advocate that. I think meditation and breath work for me, the inward journey, just spending time in silence, frankly, going on walks, has been where a lot of this has gotten very clear for me. And that's usually the prerequisite to then all kinds of synchronicities and amazing things start happening in my life when I operate more from that place and not so much from the analytical place. The analytical mind's amazing. We need it for sure. Um, but it can be a thief of joy. It can be a thief of our ability to step into that unknown, because we want to have the answers. We want to know how it's going to work out. We want to know how the dollars and cents are all going to line up. And but the people that I know that have done really amazing things, that also live really abundant lives, they at some point had to step into something really unknown. They really had to be their authentic selves fully and truly. And that's the thing that I'm going to coach on and teach on, is really, you know, just being a mirror and a support for people of, if you're not doing the things that you're wanting to do, if you're not living the life you want to leave, why? Why? Why wait? And this is just as important with, taking time to, I'm not advocating for being a total workaholic, or like there's importance in rest, and there's importance in taking that inward journey. And then how do we figure that out? Because that's where I've spent a lot of my time, is like, how much time should we be quote unquote on versus off? How much, should it be a 60-hour work week or the Tim Ferriss 8-hour work week? Which is best? We all want to know, what's the best diet, what's the best workout regimen, what's the best green drink to drink in the morning. And ultimately, that's the other component of what I want to teach people is how to be more intuitive so you don't have to guess your way through this. Right? We mostly all know what we want or where we want to go, or even some of the steps that it's going to take to get there. But it's the conviction to really lean into who we truly are that is the barrier to entry to many of those things. And I know people that are super successful that do have lots of money, and I know people that are super successful that are pretty simple and they're pretty straightforward and they're simple. I had coffee with a friend the other day. He's got four guitars, and that's his indulgence. He loves to buy guitars, but he lives in a simple little apartment. He's a counselor. He gets to do really fulfilling work, but he's not rich by any, standard metric in the West, but he really is a very grounded, happy. He's got a great girlfriend, and I asked him like, "You guys gonna get married?" He's like, "I don't know." It's like, I don't know if we need it or she needs it or whatever. It's like it's a very self-aware kind of go with the flow kind of guy. So, um, yeah, for me, it's really about showing up and being the best version of myself that I can be, which is the most authentic that I can be, and really being honest with myself if something isn't a match, a person, a situation. I've been so guilty of just I really struggle with rejection. I really struggle with it. All the way back from like not being great at school and my parents coming down on me for it, and that's where it kind of all started. But um, I take it so personally if people don't want to like go on a date or come on my retreat, or I fear rejection so badly. And so I really had to lean into that and know that this next step, right, I'm going to be trying to get people to want to work with me. Literally like asking them like, would you work with me one on one? And some of them are going to say no. And that's going to have to be okay. You know. But I'm getting excited just thinking about the possibility of being able to use those no's as a springboard to teach and condition myself that that's not the be all end all. you know yeah, I think we all struggle with that at some point. It's just that rejection, that feeling of not being good enough is so prevalent. I've worked with so many people on retreats, and I can tell you even the most successful looking people, the best looking, you think they got it all going on, and even those people, many of them struggle with not feeling like they're good enough. you know so if you're still with me, I really appreciate you sticking around to listen to this. And um, yeah, it's been really helpful for me to kind of flush some of this stuff out and to just talk it out. And um, I love that we live in a world where this kind of discussion, this kind of free form thinking is possible and it's helpful. Um, and one last little thing I wanted to share is that when I got into teaching yoga, I really wasn't trying to get rich. Like I knew I had to make money to survive, and I knew I could teach classes and private clients, so there was like a business plan, quote unquote. But I really just loved yoga, and I wanted to learn as much about it as I could. I wanted to do as much of it as I could, and then I wanted to share it with people because I knew how it made me feel, and that's where it all started. And so there's a part of me that's tapping back into that. And so if you have something in your life that you find joy in, it could be the simplest thing. I remember going to an event one time, and there was a lady who was an entrepreneur who, she was about to lose her job. She had two kids in a one-bedroom apartment. She had neurological issues, and she was going to lose her job because she literally couldn't do it anymore. And she would go down to the beach every day, and she would wait for dolphins to pop up and sometimes whales. Um, and then she just put out an ad that she was running these little dolphin watching walks, and then she was charging like $5 or something. It was like back in the Craigslist days. And a few people started showing up, and then she got like some food, and she added food and made it like a picnic afterwards. And then by the time she got up on this stage, she was a multimillionaire with multiple boats that were going out and doing these tours. And so she really just started with this one little thing that, I mean, she was living in a life of almost pure crisis, and this one part of her day where she got to go experience this, these dolphins, and she got this moment of just like clarity and rest. And she felt good, and she's like, I could just share this with people. And that was it. And then it was just, she kept building and building and working at it, working at it. So, um, there's a way. there's a way. And I'm not going to abandon ship on the retreats. I love the retreats. I want the retreats and the coaching to work in concert with each other. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this all goes and to see what challenges I'll face and how I'll be equipped to face them and who I'm going to need help from along the way and how that's going to challenge them. And yeah, it's just excitement is such a good indicator that you're on the right track. So yeah, if you're listening to this, just know if you're stuck in something or with someone or you just don't feel like there's any hope. Yeah, find those things that bring you joy. Try to do more of them as much as you possibly can, and maybe don't worry so much about how all the money stuff and everything else is going to work out, because I promise you, if you stay in that frequency and that vibration of doing things that make you feel like you're authentically yourself and you feel good doing them, so much that you'll spend your time worrying about will inevitably really take care of itself. So send you lots of love. Thanks for listening. And I wish I need like a good send off line or something. I'll work on it. I'll work on something that's authentic. Be authentically you. There you go. All right. Lots of love, friends.